so basic camera controls. WASD is going to pan the camera around. You can hold down the right mouse button to freely tumble. And you can scroll in and out with the mouse wheel. Movement is a two-step process, so select your guy. First click is going to set your destination, and then second click is going to set your facing. This arc represents sort of the range of your various weapons, as well as the amount that you can rotate to one side or the other to attack.
The farther you move, the less you can rotate. Of course, the smaller mechs are more agile. They can move further and have farther rotation. Until we encounter the enemy, we're kind of in free move mode. So you can move all your guys, and they'll just, as much as you want, they'll just keep sprinting out there. Once we engage the enemy, then we'll switch into our interleaved initiative system. I should say, before we get there, in BattleTech, there's kind of 4 axes of combat. Like in any game, you've got kind of balancing your offensive capabilities and your defensive capabilities. But with BattleMechs, there's 2 other aspects. One is heat. Firing weapons, using jump jets, things like that, generate a lot of heat for the mech. When the mechs get too hot, they start doing internal damage to themselves, and then they'll shut down to avoid doing too much damage themselves, making you a very nice, sitting duck on the battlefield. The other last axis is stability. These are big walking tanks, and as they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And so managing stability, both through the terrain you're on and the weapons fire you've taken and melee, are all ways that you can end up falling flat on your back. When you are either shut down from heat or flat on your back, then not only are you an easy target, but you're a selective target. So your opponent can decide to shoot where they want on the mech. So pretty damaging to be in that position. Melee is one of the things we've been waiting 25 years to do. Ever since we did it on the tabletop, and we've never had it. Well, the last time it was in a computer game, it was the word punch, just typed. That was the fidelity of the graphic representation, and that was back when in an RPG. Yeah, it's been 25 years. It's been a daunting process for all the different animations associated with it, but it's something we kind of laid a stake in the ground. We wanted to make sure it was part of this game. And so it is not only a way to do a lot of damage and to look really, and also just fun to watch, but it plays a lot with stability and denying people defensive postures. So they've gotten into defensive posture. A good punch will get them out of it and open them up to fire for the rest of your team.
So we've made first contact with the enemy here. We are now in interleaved initiative mode. So every round of combat has 5 phases, from 5 to 1. And so the initiative of your units determines what phase they can act in. So a light mech here, for example, these 2 guys have an initiative of 4, so they can choose to act in phase 4, 3, 2, or 1. A heavier mech, on the other hand, would have an initiative of 2 or 1, and would only be able to act in one of those last 2 phases. So this is interesting strategically, because you can choose to reserve down. You might want to wait to take your light mech's turn if they're in a good defensive position, or if you just want to see what the opponent is going to do first.
Like armor traditionally in tanks and so on, the rear armor is thinner, and it is also your defensive postures don't benefit the rear arc. So flanking is a key maneuver. So that's one of the reasons you might reserve when you're more agile guys down, right? You got them in a good hidey hole. You don't feel that they're going to get shot too much during the early part of the turn. You can reserve them down and flank them around and get a shot, right? And if let's say he was a light, so he's initiative 4, you've reserved him all the way down to 1, flanks around, gets a shot. Well, that ends the round. All of a sudden it's his turn again. So he could get 2 shots into the rear if you've managed to do it right. You'll notice that when you plot a move, you see red lines. It's a jump jet there. You'll see red lines to indicate where you'll have line of sight. So you don't have to guess, will I have a line of sight or be able to take a shot after this move? You'll know that information before you commit to the move. An arcing line of sight represents an indirect fire. So if another one of my units has a line of sight and I have rockets or missiles that can arc over terrain, then I can take that indirect shot at another unit.
Let's let's see. So heat management, Jordan talked a little bit about. You can see the heat that your attack may generate there on your heat bar. And then over here on your weapon panel, you can actually choose to choose what weapons you want to attack with. And you can see that affect your projected heat accordingly.
Right, so you can toggle weapons on or off to manage your heat as you're going.
There are a few defensive states in the game that are worth being aware of. So that commando, for example, you see that shield icon next to his health bar. This indicates that he braced on his last turn. So bracing is something you can do instead of firing. When you brace, you're readying yourself for impact, and you're only going to take half damage from attacks to the front or side. So you can flank around to avoid that, but like right here, if I take this shot, I've got a really good chance to hit, but I'm only going to do half damage with all my weapons.
Right, so he's got 100% chance to hit for that target, 80% chance for the other one.
Going to do it anyways, because shooting things is fun. In addition, so standing in forest, for example, gives you cover, which is 25% damage reduction from the front and side. And you can also choose the sprint, which is a full turn action. It's this button here on number 3 key. Sprinting uses up your entire turn, but gives you a 50% dodge chance against all incoming attacks.
Now we should mention you always move before you fire.
Yeah.
So your turn, you move a unit, and then you fire. And if you want, you can stay where you are and just go right to combat, but then you can't move after fire. Ending, if you're in water, that helps with heat dissipation. I think that's kind of enough of the basics of combat.
If you're ever in a mode you're not sure about, you can always hit escape to get out of it, to back through the flow. And if you're not sure what something does, the rollover area on the left kind of explains the various both terrain effects and what your abilities along the bottom do.